Candyman, 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 Candyman. Alright, guys, welcome back to Days of Darkness and welcome to my review of Candyman. This one came out in 1992. It's starring Virginia Madsen and Tony Todd and was directed by Bernard Rose. So, gotta confess something, guys. I'm a hypocrite because I say, oh my god, I'm such a horror head. I love horror. Horror stan, horror mark right here. But there are a lot of what people would consider to be classic horror movies that I haven't seen. And up until a couple days ago, this was one of them. And you're like, oh my god, unsubscribe. Please don't. But but no, like this, I haven't seen Sleepaway Camp, which the ending of that has been fucking ruined for me. But and just off the top of my head, there's a bunch of them. The Phantasm movies, which I have right over there. I just haven't watched them yet. That's the case. There's a lot of shit over there that I just haven't gotten to, which is a big reason why I started this channel, is I really want to dive into the sections of horror that I have not been in yet. And man, I'm really, really fucking glad I finally watched this one, guys, because this movie is incredible. I have this thing with 90s horror, especially late 90s horror, and you'll find this with a lot of horror fans. I'm sure I'm not the only one. I just can't get into it, man. Especially like the post-Scream meta fucking teenage comedy, almost blatant comedy shit. I just can't get into it. It's not visceral, it's not fucking, it's not anything that I can just sink my teeth into, And I knew from what everyone had said that this movie was good. So I was not worried that, oh, I'm not going to like this. I always go into a movie with a critical mind, but I was pretty sure I was going to fucking like this. Because it's like, I adore Tony Todd, and by the way, he does fucking incredible in this. That's should really go without saying. Sorry for the barking dog. You've been here before, obviously. But yeah, man, like, I was expecting to like this, but, like, fuck, man. And granted, this is early 90s, so we're kind of getting out of the 80s still. It's 92, so it's like, I always find watching early decade movies, they're still kind of the same sort of tone as, the decade previous. So, like, Friday the 13th looks still getting a lot of 70s vibes because it's 1980, So, granted, it has that going for it, but man, like, you hear a lot of people just say, oh, fuck 90s horror, which I'm not so broad in my statement of that, but fuck, man. This movie was absolutely incredible. I couldn't recommend it enough. I'm such a sucker. Now we're going to actually talk about the movie. I am such a sucker for those old school neighborhood boogeyman stories. Like, I love really any type of urban legend. I fucking adore them. I think, because, as a kid, that's what it is. It's a campfire ghost story. This movie literally, I'll talk about that more in the spoiler section, but it literally opens with a fucking, it's not around a campfire, granted, but it opens with one of those stories of, oh, did you hear about the Candyman and all that? And it's like, it's that type of shit that when you're a kid, it just gets under your skin. And so when I hear people say, oh my god, I was terrified of the Candyman, everyone has their childhood boogeyman. And for a lot of people, that was Candyman. You hear all the stories of kids like in real life, being terrified of saying Candyman 5 times in the mirror, and there's a reason for that. This movie's so effective. Like I said, Tony Todd. I could not picture anybody else in that role. I'm not gonna pretend I'm some. I mean, obviously, I hadn't fucking seen Candyman up until this point, so I'm not gonna pretend like I'm just this huge fucking Tony Todd fan. Anything I've ever seen him in, I've fucking loved him though. Like he's always been a magnificent actor. So the fact that I hadn't seen this is a crime in my eyes. But man, Tony Todd does so fucking good here. I love the casting choice because, and especially in '92, he is a very very good looking man, and having that sort of presence, but it's so sinister and it's so evil, and his voice has this charm to it, but it's also fucking terrifying. Tony Todd is incredible in this, as he is in pretty much everything he's ever done. Um, and yeah, man. Also, Virginia Madsen is great in this, an incredible leading lady. Um, and just the story of this is it's incredible. I'm not obviously gonna get into it until the spoilers, so fuck it, man. I'm gonna stop rambling. This is running on 6 minutes, already way longer than I anticipated. But that's sort of the thing with me now is when I like a movie, I ramble a lot. So fuck it. Let's spoil the shit out of this motherfucker. Stay tuned. All right, spoiler time. Your ass has been warned. Now let's just hop right into it. So, we start off with a really, really cool opening, as I mentioned. Just that whole boogeyman vibe about the Candyman, that urban legend, that small town ghost story. I fucking love it. Just hearing, and that's kind of, he alludes to it, that's what gives him his power, is people, tossing around legend and saying his name 5 times in the mirror is a fucking joke, and it ain't no fucking joke, as we learn multiple times in this movie. But really cool stuff. We get the babysitter getting killed by Candyman, which good to her. You shouldn't cheat on your. Or, I mean, good for her boyfriend, I guess. You shouldn't cheat on your boyfriend or girlfriend. Shitty stuff, people. Learn your lesson, or Candyman's gonna get you, or karma. Anyways. So really, really cool opening here. Then we get introduced to Helen, who's our leading lady, played by Virginia Madsen, very well, by the way. Her husband, Trevor, who there is immediately a little bit of weird tension between those two. He's a college professor, and she's a graduate student, and it's briefly hinted at this woman, I can't remember her name, but she's kind of, spitting with Professor Trevor a little bit, and obviously Helen's gonna be like, anything you want to tell me? And he goes, no. And he goes, you can't possibly think that. She's like, of course not. And it's like, which we'll learn more about that later. But yeah, and then she overhears the legend of Candyman. She's trying to figure out what's happening in Cabrini Green, which is kind of their bad neighborhood, and I hate using that term, but it's how it's framed in this movie. So she hears this legend of Candyman, and she wants to do her thesis on the legend of Candyman. So her and her friend immediately, well, I can't remember. Call it short-term memory loss. I'm trying to remember if it was before or after. Pretty sure it was afterwards. This is what happens when you see a movie once. You can't fucking articulate which is which, or what goes where. But stupidly, her and her friend, you know what? I'm pretty sure that happens afterwards. Anyways, so she immediately starts taking risks to find out more about this urban legend. And she goes to Cabrini Green. And I really, really like how it was portrayed. And I know that's a little bit of a controversial statement. Bear with me. I've never been a fan of the term bad neighborhood and good neighborhood. In my life, I have lived in a bad neighborhood, and currently, I live in a good neighborhood. Granted, I saw a lot of bad shit happen in that bad neighborhood. You flip that on the other side of the coin, a couple years ago, I live in fucking suburbia now. And there was a fucking meth lab that got busted here. So it's like, what do you say to that? Is this such a good neighborhood anymore? I think I call bullshit when people say that. Obviously, there are bad people everywhere, you know? But I don't think everyone in that place should be demonized for that. So, when Helen and her friend go to this neighborhood or this like apartment complex, I would call it an apartment I would call it an apartment complex. But whenever they go to this bad area, immediately they are harassed, and they're, Helen's white, so they're saying, "Oh, you're a cop. Both of you are cops." Yada yada yada. They're harassing them, catcalling and all that shit. But then when they get up to the apartment and they talk to this lady, she's like, "What? Do you think I'm a fucking gangbanger too? Like, I'm just here trying to raise my kid. Like, I'm not I'm not hurting anybody." And she's a little hesitant because when people come snooping around there, they're usually cops, and they're usually just trying to fucking bust somebody. So I really, really like that it portrayed the fact that, yeah, there are some bad people here. There are also some good people here. Anyways, I just like how that was handled. I know there are some people who don't like how it was handled in certain respects, but even at the end, which we'll get to that, but they're shown to be good people who live in that area. So you cannot just demonize and say, "Oh, you know, bad neighborhood, everyone there's bad. Don't talk to anybody there." It's not the fucking case. And if you think that, then you think I'm a bad person because I lived in a neighborhood like that. So you can't really say that shit. But anyways, so she's immediately taking risks though to find out more about this Candyman, and from there, they go back home, and she says stupidly says his name 5 times in the mirror, and from there we get a fucking thrill ride, man. And Candyman is just this poor woman. He is just fucking with her bad. At one point, she ends up going back to find out more, and the lady's not there, but this kid is. And she tells him this brutal story, or he tells her this brutal story about how a kid was, special needs child was killed in the fucking, I guess you would call them like, well, they're like public toilets or whatever. And fucking just disgusting. We'll get into that in the kill of the film, but that shit was fucking, oh god. There, it's hard to make me cringe, but that whole scene, even though it was just cutaways and shit like that, it still is like, ugh. And props to the storytelling and the writing, and that kid too. That kid fucking delivered that story incredibly well. So she goes in there and tries to, take some pictures and shit, and sure enough, this gang comes in, and one of them is dressed very similarly to the Candyman, and he says the line, "I heard you're looking for Candyman, bitch. Well, you found him." And then he knocks her over the head with a hook that he's carrying, and so then they end up busting him, and he gets arrested, and he gets pinned for all the Candyman murders, and so problem solved. So she goes to her car, and then we get the reveal of the fact that Candyman is very, well, we already knew that as the audience, but she finally finds out Candyman is very, very, very real. And he ends up, I love too that they handled it. I love how they handled her seeing him. Is usually people scream or they like run away, and she's just entranced by him. Like whenever she sees him, she's just immediately goes into this trance. Which, fun fact, and I learned this just doing the little bit of, I guess you would call it, research of finding out that there was a hypnotist on set, and whenever there was a time where they needed to have her look hypnotized, they would literally hypnotize her. And eventually they stopped it, but because it was just becoming too intense. But they got the shots they needed, and holy shit, they look really good. But yeah, so I love the fact that she just is entranced by him. There's just something about the Candyman that's almost alluring to her. Really, really cool stuff. But then she wakes up covered in fucking blood, and oh god, there's a like she just opens the door. The mother from earlier is screaming. Her baby is gone, and the dog has been beheaded. And she has, well, stupidly, she actually picks up the fucking cleaver. Which, why would you do that? But she doesn't fucking know what's going on. But anyways, so she picks up the cleaver, and the mother is immediately like, "You fucking did this," which any logical person would be like, "Well, who the fuck else would it have been?" You know? And so it's a lot of that. It's a lot of her being fucked with. It's kind of like the Invisible Man thing of, you know, it sounds fucking nuts. Like, of course nobody's gonna believe you. Why would they? They have no reason to. And so she ends up getting arrested, tried for murder. Her friend, who I cannot remember the name of right now, is killed by the Candyman at one point, and it's just constantly fucking with her. And not only that, she ends up coming home to her husband to find out that her husband has been cheating on her. She breaks out of the asylum or whatever she's in, loony bin, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. And she ends up finding him, and I love how they handled that as well, because they did not handle it as like she didn't walk in on them fucking or making out or anything like that. She walked in on her painting their house a different color, which that immediately communicates from Trevor to Helen, "I'm done with you. You don't exist. I'm starting a new life with this new woman who I've been cheating on you with for God knows how long, and that's it." Very, very painful. Very, very painful way to find something like that out. I would almost rather just find, you know, God forbid, but like I would almost rather find my significant other just making out with somebody. Like, that's just such a fucking brutal way to find out. It's like, you don't exist anymore. Fucking rough. So she basically has nothing left. Just nothing. She has nothing left but the Candyman. And so she reaches a point where the only way that she can redeem herself is through sacrifice. Unintentional, albeit. So she goes, she finds Candyman. And I don't think she was intending to die. Spoilers. It's a spoiler section. Get over it. But she goes to find the baby, because she learns from the Candyman that baby is still alive, and if you come with me and you are my partner in life and partner in crime, no harm will come to him. Which he ended up lying, because he very much so tries to harm the baby. He doesn't, though. So she ends up basically letting on to, you know, okay, I'll join you, and she ends up breaking free, and the baby's actually in this like trash pile. Like, it's like, oh my god, I guess Candyman teleported him there. I don't know, but he's in the middle of this trash fire that they're going to use for a trash pile that they're going to use for a bonfire. I can speak, I swear. And fuck, man, she ends up crawling in there, and Candyman, well, the kid sees a hook, and he's like, holy fuck, Candyman's in there, but it's her. So why would she be carrying a hook with her? But whatever. So she ends up getting a hold of the kid, but they set the bonfire ablaze. So now Candyman is in there, and then conveniently he's able to just stand in this trash pile. Disregard it. Anyway, so she ends up breaking free of him and is burned unmercilessly, and like all her hair burns off. And but she has the kid. She was protecting the kid, so she gets out of the trash pile. She's half dead, soon to be fully dead, and she gives the child to the mom, and that's her. That's their way of finding out. Holy fuck, she didn't do any of this. Beautifully done. And I like that they had the balls to kill off the main protagonist. Not a lot of movies do that, and I always really like when it's done well. I like it. I like when they. Yeah, I was gonna about to say that 5 times, but yeah. And then we so that's our pseudo ending. We get the funeral for Helen. Which why the fuck is Trevor there with his new boo thing? Why is he there? He has no right to be there. So fucked up, such in poor taste. But then we go back to the apartment, and he's starting to remember Helen, and he's being filled with regret. And he looks in the mirror, and his fucking new girlfriend's being all pissy because he's sad or whatever. Fucking stupid. But he ends up like looking in the mirror, he's crying, and he's like, Helen, and, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the lights flicker for some weird reason. Don't know why that happens, but whatever. And Helen is there, bald, kind of burned up, fucked up looking, and she kind of assumes the role of the Candyman, because Candyman burned up in the trash pile and yada yada yada. So she then assumes the role, and she kills the shit out of Trevor, like in the groin, up to the gullet, just fucking slashes him. You don't see any of it, and we'll get to that in the kill count, or not the kill count. Shout out to Dead Meat. We'll get to that in the kill of the film. Not that he needs a shout out from me, but anyways, but yeah, man, fucking beautiful, beautiful ending. The girlfriend comes in and is just screaming and is conveniently holding a knife, so that's kind of gonna start that whole thing between Helen and her, which I really wish that's the sequel we would have gotten. It's not the direction they ended up going in, unfortunately. But yeah, man, this is a fucking killer movie. Just absolutely incredible. I think if you haven't, like me, if you haven't seen this, go out of your way, find it on a streaming site, find it, you know, at your local DVD resale shop. Being safe, mind you, mask, all that. But yeah, if you can watch this in any way, please do it. Such a fucking classic, man. Amazing, amazing movie. I can't wait to give this a rewatch at some point. And yeah, guys, that'll do it for the movie review, but we still have to talk about the blood, the guts, the gory bits. We gotta talk about my kill of the film. I really, really enjoy Candyman for a lot of different reasons. Like I said, the storytelling is beautiful. I think the way the characters and the environment is handled is amazing. Uh, just everything about this movie, the tone, all of it's incredible. But another thing that I really, really like about this movie is the blood. Such a fucking brutal movie, man. Now, it's interesting because a lot of this stuff, a lot of the kills in this movie are off screen, and you get the aftermath of them. Not all of them, but you get, like Trevor, for instance, you can hear him getting killed in the bathroom at the end by Helen, and she opens the door, and the aftermath is fucking brutal. Um, just him lying in the tub with the duh look on his face because, you know, he's dead. But just big old slash, just boom to like boom, you know, he gets killed. um, very, very cool stuff. Not completely off screen, but it's a good kill for sure. Uh, I can't remember the friend's name, and I feel stupid for not remembering it. But her kill is also really good of just walking in, and Helen's trying to be like, he's here, don't come in. But she can't because she's fucking all doped out by him. So she gets killed. We get the aftermath of that, and what really sticks out about that is just the color of her face. Like all the color from her face is just drained, and she's just fucking pale, man. Absolutely brutal. Um, and yeah, lots of really cool, brutal imagery is what I would call it. The kid getting killed or well castrated in the bathroom, which is probably the most like moment of the movie, at least for me. Like it's like, oh god, what the hell? And you see him screaming, and it's like, oh, that's pretty. I can't remember if they said he actually died from that though, so I don't know if I can call it a kill necessarily, but nonetheless, really really cool shit there. Um, but man, honestly, the kill of the film for me has to go to Dr. Burke. It's one of our only like on-screen kills of the film, and it's completely unexpected and really cool. Not completely unexpected, but she has no other way of trying to prove to this guy that the Candyman is real. And so she looks over in a mirror to her side and says it 5 times, and Candyman obliges, and immediately like you just see him like looking at her like what the fuck, and then Candyman pops up in the back, boom, and you see him just fucking raking that hook that's like in his stump. It's just jammed in there, a couple nails, great makeup, but you see him just wrenching this fucking hook just up this dude's back. Killer. Absolutely amazing, brutal kill. He's coughing up blood and shit, and all the things that happen when you get, fucking stabbed in the back. you know, just an absolutely brutal kill. The brutality and the blood and the gore is not the main point of this movie. It's not the only thing I would watch it for. But man, what we get is fucking awesome, and that is gonna be my kill of the film, guys. And that's gonna do it for this review. Next week or next time, I don't wanna I don't wanna put a real date on it, but it will be rather soon. But next time we are going to be talking about one of my favorite fucking horror movies of all time, and I am so excited to talk about this. We're going to be talking about John Carpenter's classic, The Thing. I almost got you. Don't worry. We'll talk about Halloween soon. But no, we are going to be talking about The Thing. Oh my god, I am so ready for it. I hope you guys are too. With that being said, I hope you guys have an awesome day. Stay safe out there. Let's kick this fucking COVID shit in the ass, and let's just get it out of here, please. Anyways, but stay safe, guys. Take care of each other, and keep watching horror. Alright, guys. See ya.